It's coming.
All these voices. All these voices. All these things you can't explain. All these painful memories. They keep haunting you. It's haunting me. It's just the ghosts of you and me. It's just the smoking gasoline. It's just the ghosts of you and me. Of you and me. All these whispers. All these
My name is James Hershey.
voices in the rain.
Right back.
All these shadows in my mind. With my reflection I can't find. It's just the ghosts of you and me. It's just the smoking gasoline. It's just the
That ought to
ghosts
do
of
it.
you and me. Of you and me. Don't let them take you away. Don't let them bring you down inside. It's just the mirrors in your mind. Don't let them bring you down.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Staring into the Abyss. I am your host, horror author James Hershey Jr., and with me, as always, my co-host, old boy James Ash. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good. How's everybody tonight?
Tonight's episode of Staring is going to be a deep, deep, deep episode. Okay, I'm going to warn you right now. Tonight's episode is going to go into philosophy. It's going to go into spirituality. It's going to go into religion a little bit. It's going to make you question everything that you thought you knew about yourself and really the entire world around you. And tonight we're going to try to answer a question of what is a ghost. A lot of people hunt ghosts, a lot of people go out and try to capture evidence of ghosts, but what are they really? We're going to attempt to answer that question tonight, and also we're going to pause a lot of questions for most of you. You're going to question a lot of things in your life. You're going to look at things a little bit differently, I think, after this show is done. Now, I'm going to ask you, when you're going into this show, to have an open mind. In other words, do not have any preconceived notions going in. I'm not going to try to convince you something is true. I'm not going to try to sway you to my way of thinking. I'm simply going to present something to you. And I'd like for you to think about it with an open mind, without any preconceived notions, without prejudging it. Okay, so this all begins with our perception of the reality that we're all in. We say that the sun rises, but we all know that the sun doesn't actually rise. The earth rotates and it just appears that the sun rises. We say that the ocean is blue, but if you actually fill a bucket or a cup or something with ocean water, you see that it's not blue at all. It's actually clear. Our world is full of things that are just like that we say but aren't actually true. Things that we perceive, but they're not exactly what we thought they were. So we must first ask ourselves this question before we can get to the question of what are ghosts and all that. We must ask ourselves, what is true? Now remember, in the opening I said that this show is going to make you question everything that you thought you knew about yourself and the whole world around you. So one of the most widely believed and also untrue things is that somehow we are in control. Now, what do I mean by that? We believe that we are in control of our bodies and we are in control of our minds and we are in control of our lives, but in reality, we actually are not. Now, if you're listening to this show right now, then you are hearing this show right now. Okay, now I've just made that statement. But is that true? Are you really hearing it? Or is the act of hearing happening outside of your control? So, in other words, if you are really in control of your hearing, okay, if you are really hearing, if it's you that is hearing, then you should be able to turn it on or off as you please. I mean, you control it, right? You are in control. Okay, so right now, wherever in the world you are listening to this show, I want you to do a little experiment with me for the next 5 seconds. Okay, for the next 5 seconds, turn off your hearing. Don't touch the volume. Don't turn down the radio. That's cheating. Make your ears no longer hear for the next 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So how did you do? I bet you heard me counting, didn't you? So see, you're not actually in control of your hearing. It's not you that is doing the hearing, because if it was you that was doing the hearing, you would be able to stop doing it. You are not hearing. The act of hearing is happening to you. Okay, if you're watching the replay of this show on YouTube right now, which is youtube.com/James Hershey Jr. Cheap plug, cheap plug. But if you're watching this show on YouTube right now, then you are seeing the Staring Into the Abyss logo on the screen. Now, without looking away and without closing your eyes, because once again, that's cheating. Without looking away, without closing your eyes, try not to see for the next 5 seconds. Now, I'm not going to count this one. I'm just going to pause. See, once again, it is proven that it's not you that is seeing, but the act of seeing is happening without your control. You have no control over whether you're seeing or not. You just see. It just happens. Say, let's examine thinking. Now, you are thinking right now, right? Is that true? If it's true that you're thinking, then once again, you should be in control of your own thoughts, because you're the one that's doing the thinking, right? You are the master of your mind. Is that a true statement? If that is true, then try not to think. For really any length of time, just try not to think. No thoughts at all. What you'll find is that that's impossible. You can't just not think, because thoughts are always just popping right into your head, whether you like it or not. So you are not thinking. Once again, thinking is happening without you controlling it. Now, staying on this same path, are you the one that goes to sleep? Are you in control of sleeping? Or does sleep simply happen whether you like it or not? Now, if you believe that you are the one that controls when your body sleeps, then try to go to sleep right now. Just do it. Right now, go to sleep. You're still awake, aren't you? That's because we do not control when we sleep. Sleep just comes. It just happens to us. It's the exact same thing with waking up from sleep. You don't consciously decide to wake your body up. Your body just wakes up when it's ready. Or if you set an alarm, then your body wakes up as a response to a loud sound, probably to make you protect it from whatever scary thing made that loud sound in the first place. So through these examples, we have learned that we are not our bodies, and we are not our minds. Now, we have a body, and we have a mind, but that's not what we are. We are something altogether separate from both of them. Now, we know this is true because of that little word perception that I mentioned earlier. You cannot both perceive something and also be that thing that is being perceived. It's impossible. Now, you can perceive your car, you can operate that car and make it move in all kinds of directions. You can honk the horn, roll down the windows, all that kind of stuff, but you're not the car. If you perceive something, you do so from outside of that thing. So you can't be that thing. You perceive your body, but you are not your body. You can perceive your thoughts from your mind as a voice in your head. So you cannot be that voice inside your head. Now, see, a lot of people get lost on that part because they want to think that they are their mind. They are those thoughts. That's them. They're the ones thinking. They're their thoughts. But think of it this way. Your thoughts come into your mind, and then they leave your mind. But you remain constant to perceive their presence and their absence. If you were the thoughts, then when the thoughts left your mind, you would leave with them because that's you. But you don't leave. You remain there to perceive that they have left. So logic tells you that's two separate things. And examine the words for a second. My body, my mind. When you break that down, you have my, which means me. Okay, I own this. It's mine. And then you have body. So there's me, and then there's the body. It's two separate things. Same as the mind, right? My mind, same exact thing. There's me, and then there's the mind. So if you are not your body, and you are not your mind, what are you? What about your perceived identity is actually true? Now you might say, well, I'm a man. I know that to be true. Or for my beautiful female listeners out there, and yes, ladies, every single one of you that is listening to my voice right now, you are all absolutely beautiful, amazing, perfectly created beings. And the same thing goes for all the fellas that are listening as well. I don't care what any magazine or any person out there says. You are all perfect, just how you are. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later and explain that to you all. But you might say, I am a woman. That is true. Now, the question I have for you is that true? Is that really a true statement? Are you a man? Or are you a woman? Or is that the gender of the body that you just happen to be writing in right now? Do you even actually have a gender? Because after all, sex is a physical thing. That is the body. What determines whether you're a man or a woman is the equipment that you have in your body. It is your chromosomes in your body that determine that. And you are not your body. You are something completely different. You're not your body. You are not your mind. What are you? What are you? You are made up of three separate parts. You have your body, your physical self. You have your mind, your spiritual self. And then you have the third part, which is your soul. Okay, you are not your body. We determined that. You are not your mind. So are you your soul? Is that true? And if that is true, what is a soul? A soul is energy. A soul is pure consciousness. A soul is you. That's what you are. You are pure consciousness, completely separate from your body and from your mind. You exist outside of both, but inside of both as well. You are larger and greater than either one of those. You contain your mind. Your mind does not contain you. You contain your body. Even though you happen to reside inside that body, it's still your body. You contain that body. It does not actually contain you. Because after it dies, you go on. You do not die. You may leave that physical body, but that is not the end. Because like I said, a soul is pure consciousness. A soul is energy. And physics teaches us that energy can never be destroyed. It simply changes forms. So what is a ghost? That was the original question that we wanted to try to answer. What is a ghost? Well, the obvious answer there is a ghost would be consciousness, right? Because at least one kind of a ghost, because ghost can talk to you. When you have an intelligent entity, it can speak to you. It can interact with you. In order to speak with you and interact with you in an intelligent way, you have to have consciousness. You have to be self-aware. And some spirits, ghosts, are self-aware. Now you have multiple kinds of ghosts. You have the intelligent, self-aware entities that I spoke of that can talk to you and communicate. You have what I call replay ghosts, which basically is just a replay of something that happened in life. You find this a lot of times at scenes of grisly murders or battles. You know, down here where I live, we have a lot of different battlefields because I live in the Shenandoah Valley in Virginia. And this was like the heart of the Civil War. So there's all kinds of battlefields here. And on some of those battlefields at night, you can go down there and you can hear the sounds of battle happening. Sometimes you can see the soldiers walking around, fighting, dying in front of you. Now, they can't interact with you. They don't talk to you. If you say, hey, watch out for that bullet, fella, they're still going to get shot because they can't hear you. They're not actually there. It's a replay of a tragic event, because when an event is tragic enough, it creates what they call a psychic imprint on reality. That psychic imprint we perceive as a replay. So we're watching the scene as it happened originally, but it's not actually happening over and over again. It's just like we recorded it on VHS and we're playing it back. And for my older listeners, you understand what I just said. For my younger listeners, VHS used to be like a DVD that you could record onto without a computer. You had these VHS machines, you would put the tape in, and when something come on TV you wanted to watch, you push the record button, and it would record it for you, and you could watch it later, almost like DVR, except for it was a lot more primitive, so to speak. But that's what a replay ghost is. And then you have all kinds of other entities that are not ghosts, but have a lot of the same characteristics as ghosts. Those would include like demons and shadow people, entities like that, things that are spectral, but they are not ghosts. They're not human spirits that are for some reason still here on Earth. Now there's an interesting debate about that as well, because some people say that ghosts are not human beings. Ghosts are not the soul or the spirit of people. They are demons, or they are other evil entities, because when a human being dies, their soul either goes to heaven or they go to hell. You can't do both. Now, if we want to get biblical for just a minute, and this is not going to be a sermon, Okay, I'm not going to preach to you here. I'm going to break something down for you from the Bible so you can better understand, because the Bible has a lot to say about souls. In the Bible, mankind is created as a trinity, just like what I described earlier. You have the body, you have the mind, and then you have the soul. The soul, when you die, goes to heaven if you're saved, or if you're not saved, it goes to hell. The spirit, which is what we call the mind, does not go to heaven or hell. That is what I believe remains on earth. So when you have a ghost that you think is your grandmother, it's not necessarily that it's not your grandmother and it's a demon, which you'll have a lot of people say. I believe that it is the spirit of your grandmother, quite possibly. And as the spirit, which we call the mind, it would have the memories of your grandmother. It would know what your grandmother knew because it was part of your grandmother. It was what was doing the thinking. When your grandmother thought she was thinking, it was the spirit that was actually doing the thinking. The soul, which is what your grandmother actually was, is not there anymore. She has gone to heaven if she was saved, or hell if she was not. But her spirit remains. And I believe that spirit is what ghosts are. And to explain that really quickly, I'm going to get into a couple kind of interesting, crazy things that I've talked about before on these shows. If you've listened to me for a long time, then you remember me talking about giants in the Bible. You remember me talking about vampires and the fallen angels and all the monsters, all that stuff, okay? The reason why demons exist is because fallen angels came down, made love to women, had children. Those children were the giants, okay? The giants, they had a body and they had a spirit, but they had no souls because they were an abomination to God. So without a soul, there was nothing to go to heaven or hell. The spirit remains. So that's what demons are, is the disembodied spirit of the giants that are roaming around looking for a new body to inhabit, basically. That's what possession is. Vampires were the fallen angels that left their first estate and drank human blood to remain human so that they could mate with human women. They also did not have a soul. They only had a body and a spirit. So when they died, their spirits also roamed the earth. That's a really quick and simplified explanation. If you want to know more about it, I've got multiple shows. You can go to the YouTube channel and watch. I got What Are Demons and Where Do They Come From? The Origin of Monsters. There's several shows there on giants. There's a bunch of shows that can really get in depth and in detail on that train of thought. But I believe that's what ghosts are. They are the spirits, the disembodied spirits of human beings. When you die, your soul goes on to the afterlife. It goes on to either heaven or hell. But your spirit, which we call the mind, remains. And I believe that is what ghosts are. Now, if you were a good, loving person, then your spirit, which has all your memories, is going to be a good and loving spirit. If you're kind of a jerk, your spirit is going to be kind of a jerk. You see what I'm saying? So you have good ghost and you have bad ghost. You have ones that are kind and helpful and they're a pleasure to talk to, and then you have those that are a real pain in the butt and like to throw things and act up. But I believe that's what they are. So I'm going to throw over to Old Boy, and I'd like to get his opinion on everything I've said tonight, because I got into some pretty deep philosophy. And I hope that you all enjoyed this, and I hope that it made you think a little bit and realize that what we think and what we've been taught to think all of our lives isn't actually true. it kind of turns everything upside down for you. But I want to throw over to Old Boy and get his opinion on that, and get his opinion on what ghosts are, and see what he has to say about the subject. So, Old Boy, go ahead and take it away, brother.
And thank you, brother. And this is an interesting one for me because what are ghosts? I have a little bit of a difference of opinion. And this is why I'm glad we did the show, because it's very interesting. When he first told me, I was like, I don't know. I don't know how we're going to go with this one. And I said, well, let me think about it. Let me hear what you have to say about it. And you pretty much said what I thought you would. Okay, I agree with some of the stuff James was saying. I believe that most ghosts, in my opinion, is they're either some kind of entity. They could be from another dimension. They also could be a demon, or they're like he was saying, they're something that happened, and it was like a fingerprint that just reenacts over and over. Some people believe that. I believe that. I believe if there's a tragedy, sometimes it can continuously keep reliving itself over and over. And what I mean is, like, say somebody gets hit by a car, and before they were getting hit, right before the impact, they were thinking of something, and boom, they're dead. And they get stuck for that forever. Maybe that's a punishment. I don't know. I wouldn't say that's hell, but reliving something over and over and over again, maybe that is hell. If you think about it, that's never ending, the same reaction over and over again. Like the Grudge, that was an evil imprint of something there, and it brought an entity, but it was something that bad happened there. Somebody was murdered there, and so the evil imprint would keep coming back because something bad happened there, like a whole family getting murdered, and that's pretty bad. So I believe that too, that there can be an evil imprint where something happened, and that's why you have houses like the Amityville house, and there was stuff going on too. The guy before who killed all his family was worshiping Satan down in the basement in like this little hidden room that thought he had a talking, I think it was a pig or something. And I think that was a demon, but I think that house, after what had happened, that was the imprint there, and just got evil and evil. And I think there's a gateway. I think there's another thing. That's something James didn't talk about. I think there's a gateway some places. I think that some places there's a gateway for spirits and there's a gateway for demons. And I believe that might be a gateway, just like Indian burial sites where spirits are. And I believe that that's where you have these places can never get, like, people go in there and do exorcism and they never get rid of it, because unless you burn the place down or destroy it, it's still going to be there. And it's still there to this moment, especially Amityville, is it's still there because it's an imprint. Unless you get rid of that house, it's not going away. And I wouldn't want anything out of the house because it's all tainted. It's tainted by evil. And I believe that stuff like that, because of the murders that happened in there and other stuff, that's why people were living over and over the murders there. People who'd move in, they would have problems. Plus, the guy was doing satanic rituals in there, so he had something summoned there. And I believe that too. You can have things summoned. And I think demons also pretend to be, like, people will say, oh, it's my loved ones. Demons can pretend to be children. They can pretend to be anybody. They can pretend to be your family and know stuff about your family. And people don't know the difference because, oh, it's my family, it's my uncle Dan, I haven't seen in 100 years, or it's not 100, like in 40 years. He's come to see me. Well, it could be a demon pretending to be your Uncle Dan. He knows about your Uncle Dan, so he's using it to fool you, so he can screw with you later and get into your soul, whatever he wants to do. When James is talking about what I think about souls, is like I was telling him earlier, I have been to places where I think I've been before, but I've never been there before, but I know I've been there. And I'm not trying to get into reincarnation, but I believe that I'm comfortable somewhere I've never been before, but I knew things, and then I can imagine things in my head that I've seen before in another time. And I've always felt like that. That's where we're going to have a difference of opinion, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's good, because then people don't want to hear the same thing over and over, that we always agree with everything, because we don't. But I feel that some people do come back from something. Maybe something happened and they had to finish it. And that's just my opinion. And then with spirits, I believe, like he said, I believe that maybe that they're not really a soul, but it's just like something like he was talking about demons and vampires and stuff. I believe that part of it to a point, but I also believe that maybe sometimes you get stuck here. I don't know, maybe like with somebody killed you, because like they said, you have a choice. Well, if somebody chose to kill you, if somebody shoots you or murders you, that wasn't your choice to die, or it wasn't you died from an accident or something. Somebody took your life, and I believe it that you get stuck here because then you also people say, "Oh, I talked to somebody like mediums or psychics," and they talk to somebody and they find out that something keeps bothering them, like a ghost or entity, till they find out who murdered them. And I believe that too. I believe that some things want to be free, and they go to people who like I said, mediums or psychics. And I don't believe all mediums and psychics. I think a lot of them use to get money. So, and that's why I get mad about that, because I like some of them. I do think are real, but majority of them, you got to watch out, man. They'll find out everything, and a lot of people say a lot of things. We'll just say that. I'm not going to say all psychics are liars, but a good portion of them are not telling the truth, and they're getting money from you. But there is some that say that they'll see something like in their dreams, or and this ghost will talk to them, and they'll find out where they were murdered. And the cops even use this for forensic and stuff like that. They'll call a psychic, and they'll find a body there. So that's the thing I believe too, that they can get to get something solved. And then it goes wherever, to heaven or hell, whatever you believe in, or just reprocesses to another soul and you become something else. And that's going into the whole, whatever you guys believe in. I'm not saying that, James is wrong on what he believes. That's what he believes. Never going to argue that. Good thing he believes in that. But I have a difference of opinion. But I do believe there's bad demons that do things to make people think they're family members from the past. Because demons can attach to you. And that's the way they'll find out. They open up, oh my God, it's my mother. And they'll get into you, from the past that died. And then that's the way they get you. Because then you're vulnerable. And they can get into your soul, into your body and take it over. I believe that too. I also believe what are ghosts, like people see in your graveyard. I think they're entities. I think they're shadow people. I think shadow people are different too. That's a whole nother story. I think they're from another dimension. I believe there's demons. I believe there's specters. I believe there's orbs. I don't know what they are. I think, see, that opens up another thing. Are they people who died there and that's what they're haunting? That's where that's their, they're just stuck there for the end of time? Or to, like James says, do you just go to heaven or you go to hell? The problem is when we go out and do this, because we do the paranormal. I have a paranormal show we do now, guys. We'll talk about that later. We see this stuff there, and we've seen wraiths, we've seen demons, we've seen shadow people, we've seen spirits. We've had spirits talk to us. What is it? Is it just demons pretending to be this stuff, or they're all 5 different things? I don't know. I know they're not just demons. I know they're not just souls. I know they're not just shadow people. They're all different. Even the wraith is different, because the wraith, all it is either a necromancer, a witch, or a demon is using a damn soul that makes the wraith, and it can come kill you, because it can kill you, or basically you're done for if it's getting sent after you. That was a damn soul that got from hell that got turned into a wraith. And then when it's done with whatever it's supposed to be their bidding, it gets sent back to hell. But that's what I believe. I believe these spirits and what we see are all different. I believe there's fingerprints, like James is talking about, where some people believe that something tragic or something bad happened, and it just fingerprints there forever. It's the same exact thing that happens. It's like somebody walks into a wall and dies, and you just see it constantly. And that's what you'll see constantly. Or you have your regular spirits that don't always attack people. See, that's the thing. I've talked to people who have had ghosts that said nothing's ever happened. They've been there for years, and it's the person that lived there. See, but they've never done anything crazy to them. No scratching them, taking over their bodies and their souls. They just stay there for hundreds of years. I've heard about this. I don't know what that is. that there's where I think maybe somebody died and something bad happened, and they're waiting for somebody to free them to get to the other side. And maybe that's a possibility. I'm not saying that it's wrong or I'm right. I'm saying that's what I believe. Kind of like Ghost. Do you remember how like he died and he had to solve his death? He was murdered, but he got sent to heaven after he solved everything, and that's what I kind of believe too. That you get sent somewhere else, but you got to solve what happened to you. You got to know you. That's why some of these spirits contact some of these mediums, and they find their bodies, and then they're gone, and they get to go be, because they got to find out what happened. When you have somebody killed and you got people looking for you, what's the thing you want? You want them to know what happened to you. So that's the only way they can get people to solve their crime of how they got murdered and how they were put in wherever. Like they got buried out in the middle of the desert, or they were thrown in an ocean and no one could ever find them, or they were buried in the middle of the woods. Their family members are dying to know what happened to them. Like say somebody ran away or were kidnapped and they were murdered and God forbid thrown in a ditch somewhere. Wouldn't you want your family to know where you're at and what happened to you? So, and then once you get solved and they get their body found, they can go to the next level of life. Because this isn't the only life you live, man. It doesn't end here. You go to another level of life. If it's heaven, hell, or you recycle, or you just go to whatever you believe in. Some people believe we go up to the alien. Whatever you're going to believe in, I'm not trying to here to debate whatever you believe. Buddhists believe you go up to with Buddha. I'm just saying that that's my opinion on it. I've dealt with a lot of stuff with paranormal. I've dealt a lot of stuff with demons, shadow people. I was in the occult for 10, 15 years. You never really get out of it. Once you have a demon, and once people got to realize something. And this is still about paranormal. Once you get a demon in you and you actually accept that demon in you, it never goes. Because it will always come back. It doesn't matter what ritual you do, believe. You can have every guy that knows how to do exorcism, it will come back. Because one day you're going to want it to come back. And that's the scary thing about that. And even if you are a Christian and you believe in God, remember, it can have something else come after you. Like a family member. Remember, your family or your friend may not believe in God. If you believe that, and that's another way they can get you. They can attach to you also, like James has said before. This is all about spirits and stuff, so I'm getting into a little bit different. But what I think, there's several different versions of ghosts, spirits, and demons, and they're all different. I believe there's shadows. I think there's vengeful spirits. I forgot to talk about that one. I think there's other vengeful spirits, like water spirits, that come back for revenge. So that's pretty much going on to the evil. Like they're evil. They're just beings. They're just like demons, imps, shadow people, wraiths. They're not good. They're coming for revenge. Whatever happened to them in their lifetime, they're coming after you. That's why they hurt people, because maybe that's what they get off on. That's how they exist, to make people's life a living hell. And I think that's what shadow people do. Some follow, some watch, some actually do evil things. They'll follow you to your house. Like the man in the hat, he either watch you, and something bad happens all the time too, because they love negativity. They cause negativity in your house. But I believe there's some kind of reason why they all exist, and I don't know that answer, and I'm never going to say I do. I don't know if it's God. I don't know if it's Buddha. I don't know if it's Mother Earth. I don't know if it's aliens. But for some reason, these things exist. And people need to realize these are real. I deal with it all the time. I go out and jumped in a damn hole a couple weeks ago to see if there was a demon in this hole. And this whole place, there's something there, evil. There's just the evil presence there. And even at the Victorville, we're going to be doing another episode. You guys will see that, where the Wraith. There's something there. But it isn't just the Wraith. There's all kinds of different things there. Spirits, ghosts, fingerprints, demons, whatever you want to call them, are there. So I don't know exactly what all of them are. I know demons are evil. That's plain and simple. So are shadow people. I think they're from another dimension. I think that spirits are a part of our soul that gets left here. if you want to know what that is. I think that that's a part of our soul that gets left here, good or bad. And I think that tragedies and people who get murdered, they get stuck here till people find what happened to them and get freed. And I believe that there's fingerprints where something gets stuck over and over and over, negative or not negative. That's what I believe. And so I'll let James go about this. You forgot about vengeful spirits too, so just remember you can talk about that too. But that's all I got to say, James, on that one.
A human being is made up of 3 parts, like I said earlier. I'm going to elaborate a little bit more on this so that everybody can really understand what I'm saying. When you die, those 3 parts go to 3 separate places. Okay, your soul, which is what you are, either goes to heaven or it goes to hell. Your body obviously goes into the ground or into the fire if you're cremated. Your mind, which is your spirit, is what remains. So when you're talking intelligent entities that can interact with you, the mind can definitely fill that void. You know, that spirit can think. It has been doing the thinking for you your whole life, pretty much. When you're talking about vengeful spirits, well, think about your own life for a second. What causes vengeance? What causes that rage, that need for vengeance? Well, it's your mind. It's you thinking about how somebody else has wronged you and obsessing on that. And when you do have your revenge, you plan out your revenge. That's your mind once again, thinking and planning and plotting. So it only makes sense that since your mind is your spirit, and that is what's left here, that's exactly what a vengeful spirit would be. Would be your mind, your spirit, trying to seek retribution for the wrongs that it feels was done to you in life. Now, Old Boy was saying that demons can impersonate your loved ones. That's 100% true. But what I'm saying is I don't believe that every single time you have an intelligent entity in a home or in a graveyard or any place else, that it's necessarily a demon. And that's kind of taking a big right turn from the majority of religious people. Because a lot of the hardcore Christian people will say that there are no ghosts. Because when you die, your soul goes to heaven or hell. And they were right about that. When you die, your soul does go to heaven or hell. But I think where they miss it is they don't quite understand the human trinity properly. They don't understand that the mind is also the spirit. The spirit and the soul are 2 completely separate things. So when you die and your soul goes to wherever it goes, whether it's heaven or hell, your spirit is left behind on earth. That is not your soul. Your soul has departed. It's gone. You are gone. What's left behind is your mind, your spirit, your personality, so to speak. That part of you. But it's not your true self. Your true self has went to the next world, whether it's heaven or hell. Now, your mind is a very powerful thing. You know, your spirit can be here for a long, long, long time. And it can stay for good reasons, and it can stay for bad reasons. Because just because you have died does not stop your spirit from being what it is. The whole idea of life, really life is all wrapped up in the body. Once your body dies, we believe that you're dead. But we know that the soul goes on, and we know that the spirit has to go on because we have ghosts and we have, seances and stuff like that where you can talk to people. And like Old Boy was saying, there's some that have been in houses for decades and nothing negative has ever happened. They never hurt anybody. Now, if that was a demon or an evil entity, it would hurt somebody. I don't think a demon could just sit around and behave itself for decade after decade after decade and not pick the low-hanging fruit. Somebody that doesn't know a whole lot about what they're doing, that is in there trying to talk to them. I mean, that's low-hanging fruit for sure, especially if the person isn't saved. Because then you can attach, you can possess, you can do whatever you want to this person. And there's no way that they're just going to sit back and do nothing just so they can keep up this masquerade of just being a ghost. Your spirit or your mind, once your body dies and it is released, it is still your mind. It is still capable of thought. It is still capable of planning and of plotting and of all the emotions that you feel in life. Because that's where all your emotions come from, is your mind. Your spirit is still fully capable of love, of hate, of anger, of fear, jealousy, all those things. It can still feel the same way it felt in life. The only thing that has changed is your body is now out of the equation. You are now worm food. Okay, your body is the weakest of the three. Your soul is the strongest of the three. And your spirit is the most devious of the three, honestly. Now, there are a whole lot of other entities out there. I'm not saying that everything on the other side is nothing but human spirits. Old boy went through a whole list. There are a lot of evil, nasty things out there in the night that want to hurt you. We know we faced some of them. I've seen a lot of them. They do absolutely exist. But for the purposes of this show, we are speaking about ghosts. Ghosts can be evil as well sometimes, if the person was evil. If the person was a decent person, your normal, average, everyday person who has their moments of not being so nice, but generally are good people, then your ghost is going to follow that same basic blueprint. Because after all, it still has your personality. It's still you. It's not your true self. That's your soul. That's gone. But it is your personality. It is your mind that still lives on. Your thoughts are still here. Now, what happens to them? Do they just go on haunting forever? When a psychic medium comes in and it crosses over one of these ghosts, what does that mean? What happens there? That's a very, very interesting question, because we know the soul has already gone to heaven or hell when you died. We know your spirit cannot enter heaven or hell because it is not a soul. So when you get crossed over by a psychic medium, where the hell do you go? What does that mean? Well, unfortunately, I don't think anybody actually has that answer. But there's some interesting ideas. You know, I came up with an idea for that very question while old boy was talking. He was talking about times where he has been places and seen things, and he has this sneaking feeling he's done it before. That's deja vu. Okay? He said he didn't really want to get into reincarnation, but what if that is what happens when a psychic medium crosses your spirit over? What if that spirit gets crossed over and it attaches to another soul that's being born? Your spirit lives again with another soul. That's why you have those moments of, man, I've been there before, I've seen that. But you have never actually been there before that you know of. Or you meet a person and you automatically hate that person. You just can't stand that guy. He's such a pain in the butt, and man, you'd like to punch him in the nose. But you never even met him. So why do you have that feeling of rage and animosity and hatred towards him? Am I saying that when a psychic medium crosses a spirit over, that it attaches to a soul and is born again and is reincarnated? I'm not saying yes 100% that's correct, because I don't know. But it seems to make sense, and it is definitely a interesting answer to that question, because it would explain a lot. We know that the spirit has to go somewhere, because it doesn't stay here. Okay, if you're crossed over, it doesn't stay here. One thing they always say is go into the light. Go into the light. People think that means heaven. But what if you're crossing over an evil entity? A malevolent spirit, a vengeful spirit? What if that is what is being crossed over? That's not getting into heaven. And I doubt very seriously you're going to see a bright white light heading to hell. Hell is going to be dark and fiery and hot and terrible. So I don't think that light that they tell you to head towards when they're crossing you over I don't think that's heaven at all. What if that bright light is the light of a delivery room as you're being attached to a new soul as it's being born? That would be interesting, wouldn't it? Because the delivery room is a very bright, bright place. Maybe you get crossed over and you just go hang out in a waiting room. And you're just sitting there under fluorescent lights in some otherworldly waiting room while you're waiting to be processed or whatever, so you can go down again. Who knows? Nobody really has that answer. But it's fun to try to think of different answers to that question. But I guess until we actually die and experience it, we won't know. I mean, I know what happened when I died. And I've told that story on previous shows. So if you want to hear that story, a good one to listen to is Eyewitness Accounts of Hell. Because in that episode, I give my own story of dying and coming back. So you get to hear what I saw and what I experienced. I was not a ghost. I can tell you that much. But I wasn't dead for very long. But I know what I saw on the other side, and I know what I experienced on the other side. So it's an interesting concept, reincarnation. How much truth there is to it, I really don't know. But I do know that deja vu is a real phenomenon. I've had it. Old Boy's had it. I'm sure everybody listening right now has had that in their life at some point. I know that there are people you instantly like or instantly dislike very strongly for no apparent reason. There has to be a reason for that. Does it have to be reincarnation? No. It could be that their aura doesn't match your aura, or you're psychically, you can just, through intuition can tell that there's somebody you don't like. Or maybe if you want to talk science, maybe it's their pheromones. We all put off pheromones that attract the opposite sex. And if the person that you are attracted to, if they have the proper genetics to match your genetics to ensure a healthy and strong child, you will find that pheromone smell attractive and you will be drawn to that person. If they are not a good genetic match for you and your children will be born defective in some way, then you will not like that person. So maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe it's simply chemical. Maybe it's just pheromones. Who knows? I certainly do not have that answer. But I will never stop looking for it, I can promise you that, because it's a very interesting idea. So we're just about out of time, so I'm going to throw back over to Old Boy so he can give his shout-outs.
And thank you, brother. Wow, that one quick. I hope you guys enjoyed this. And just remember, guys, Tales from the Abyss, we're going to have another episode come on. So I hope you guys have been checking out. That's our new YouTube show, and it'll be on James Hershey's YouTube page. He'll tell you what to look for in our old shows from Staring into the Abyss, and our new show will be on there next week. I want to thank all the listeners from ParaX, almost 4,000 subscribers on YouTube. We're almost there. We also have a merchandise store. He will tell you where to go and what you guys can get, anything, shirts, hats, not hats yet, beanies, all kinds of other stuff. Check it out, guys. And I want to thank you guys for listening for us. It's been over a year now, and I've really been enjoying this on ParaX. So I hope you guys enjoyed this show. We do a show every week different. We never play replays. That's one thing you will realize about us. We do not do replays. Every week's going to be a different show, guys. So just remember that. And I hope everybody has a great night. I love you guys. Blessed be demon hunters, misfits, monster lovers. I love you. Sugar ladies, have a great night. Blessed be.
The YouTube channel is youtube.com/James Hershey Jr. That is where you will find the replays of all of our shows here on ParaX. You will also find other side videos we do on different subjects that have to do with the paranormal. And also that is now the home of Tales from the Abyss, which is our new TV show we're doing. And this show is something really interesting and special because, like me, I've been doing this pretty much my entire life. I've been researching and studying these things. And I have been hunting these things for a long, long time. And Old Boy is the same way. And this is kind of us giving a glimpse of what we do outside of the show. You know, because we talk on the show sometimes about different experiences we've had with different creatures and stuff, and times that we've been after them and all that kind of stuff. Well, we decided that what we wanted to do was to kind of take you guys along and show you us hunting these things, basically. So that's what Tales from the Abyss is. It's really interesting. The first episode, we sent Old Boy down in the dark with a demon down in this cellar. Supposedly nobody had ever lasted more than 10 minutes, and he was down there for 15. So that was a really fun and interesting episode. So that's on the YouTube channel right now. You guys can check that out. The next episode is going to be at the Victorville Cemetery. We go there hunting a wraith that actually attacked one of our team members, had him projectile vomiting, threw another one through the air. It was a hell of a mess. So we went there to confront this thing and to try to take it out. So that's going to be the next episode. It'll be up here within the next week or two. I'm editing it now. I also, on a side note of this, I want to say a personal thank you to the producers at TLC. They were recently filming, and they were talking to my cameraman, and they were very kind to him. And I wanted to give a personal thank you to them for being kind to my cameraman and showing us some love. I really appreciate that, and thank you. That's about all the time we have. So until I speak to you again, love many, trust few, and do harm to none. God loves you, and so do we. Bye-bye.